Boss Fight Gaming. Get ready. Fight!
Hey guys, welcome back to another Boss Fight Gaming video achievement guide for Call of Duty Vanguard. We are playing the tip of the spear, which is to complete the game on veteran difficulty. And basically you have to play the entire campaign, not the entire game, but the entire campaign, the story, on veteran difficulty. Now, this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, please go and watch my other video, which will help you get through some of the earlier stages. This is part 2, which starts on midway, so if you have not seen the others, please go watch that. Now, if you are back for part 2, thank you very much for watching part 1, and thank you for watching part 2 too. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please go and do that now. It will help us massively, and you obviously gain help from us. It would be very nice if we could get a little bit of help from you, and we'd be very grateful for that. Now, once you are back in the game and you're on midway, we are going to make our way to our plane. I am going to speed the video up just a little bit, but basically you need to make your way through the hangar by following Mateo until you reach your plane. And I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to fast forward it just a little bit until we're up to that point. If you wish to pause this video until you're in your plane, that's absolutely fine. In fact, even with speeding it up, it took a while, so I actually trimmed the video there. Basically, you just got to make yourself get to this point, and in a moment you are going to have to follow the on-screen instructions, which tell you to sort of do things to make the plane work. I'm assuming that most of you have actually played this game on normal or another difficulty. If not, and this is your first time, just basically follow on-screen instructions and it will help you get through the pre-flight checks. Now, I am gonna again probably skip a little bit of the video here until the next part, just because you don't need to watch me do this when you basically got to do it yourself. There's not really much I can help you with at this point, so I am going to trim the video just a little bit until we get up in the air and about to get into the next part. So please do pause this video until you are in the next part. Well, wait till you see where I am next, then pause the video and obviously get to there yourself. So I'll do that now. And just like magic, I am now in the sky with my team, and some Nazi fighters will come and attack us. Now, what I'd recommend doing on this part is just taking it easy. There is an achievement for helping your teammates not to get shot down, but don't go too crazy and try and be this amazing flyer, because the mechanics of this are just trash anyway, and it'll probably make you infuriated by just basically flying in very weird sort of patterns. Anyway, you'll know what I mean as soon as you start flying. It just, in my opinion, it's a bit trash. The game is amazing, the story is great, but the flying should just not have been put in the game, in my opinion. If somebody likes it, I am sorry if you really like it. It looks beautiful, but when you compare it to other games, it is a little bit wooden. Anyway, so basically just fly around. If you struggle with the controls, try holding Y and switch to inverted, and just drive around. Look for the red circles, those show you where your enemy are. Just try to get a bit closer. When you get a little bit closer, hold your left trigger, and this will then sort of zoom in slightly and allow you to sort of aim a little bit better. However, don't try and go too crazy. Just take your time, get behind a couple of these planes and shoot them in the rear. Now, there's not really much I can do in the sort of shape of telling you how to do this level really well, because like I said, it's kind of one of those where you're sort of forced to sort of do it, and there's not really much you can do in terms of changing it up a bit. You're kind of on a sort of set path. But anyway, so go and kill a few of those fighters, and then it will put you into your formation again, where you're behind this big plane, and then it will tell you to go into dive mode in a very short while. When you go into dive mode, it is a little bit of a pain. The first dive isn't too bad. The second dive is. If you haven't got the dive achievement yet, I wouldn't recommend getting it on veteran. I would recommend going back on recruit or something easier to get this. Anyway, so when it asks you to press X to dive bomb, press the X to dive bomb, and you will start flying nose down towards the ship below you. What I would recommend doing is using your right stick, just move it right and left, just a little bit. Don't go too far right or left, because you will then get hit by flak. Try to stay pretty centered, but just make sure you're not staying completely still, and just try and avoid some of these rounds that are coming up. I imagine some of you will die a few times here, but again, try not to get too far away from the center of your dive, because you will get hit by flak. As soon as it asks you to bring your scope up, follow the on-screen instructions, hold left trigger, press RB to fire, and make sure you press down on your right pad. Otherwise, you will crash, just like that. I thought I'd leave that in, because if you're not paying attention, you will die there, and it's annoying. So yeah, once you're in the dive, and you get very close to the ship, as I mentioned, when I'm on the way down, I'm just pressing left and right on my right stick. I'm not going too far away from my original center point, just sort of wiggling it around and trying to avoid some of those rounds that are coming up. And yeah, this first ship I seem to get past really easily. So again, when you're in range, follow the on-screen instructions and press RB, then press down as quick as you can on your stick, and that will pull up your plane, and you will then have completed that part. Now this part can be a bit tricky. You'll be flying around in sort of a small area, attacking enemy planes. You will get shot in the back quite a bit. What I would recommend, if you start getting shot in the back and you hear the tin noise, which is the bullets hitting your plane, just try and move left and right as much as possible. I would also recommend not trying to fly too high, because if you fly too high, it will also get you killed. I can't think of any sort of tips other than those to help you get past this area, if I'm honest. Basically just follow the red circles, shoot for the red circles, and you'll kill Nazis. Again, if you hear yourself getting shot at from behind, just sort of weave right and left, try to stay a bit low, and eventually you will trigger checkpoints. So just keep an eye out for those checkpoints really. Now I am going to speed this up because, again, there's not, other than what I've just told you, there's not really much I can say to help. I am really sorry that you have to go through this level just like me, but it is a bit meh. It is a bit meh. Anyway, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and then I'm going to explain the next part in just a second. So yeah, just fly around for a while, guys. Shoot as many of these planes as possible. If you start getting shot at, just try to maneuver out of the way. You will die a few times here. If you don't, congratulations. If you are stuck on this part, I really don't know what else to tell you, unfortunately. Just try to stay low and try to avoid the fire. It's not really difficult, it's just a little bit frustrating. Anyway, eventually you will trigger a couple of checkpoints, and when you do, you will then can trigger a mission complete objective change. Once that objective changes, as you'll see on my screen in just a couple of seconds, so my objective is about to change. Once it says you have finished your current objective and the objective is changed, and it says let's sort of go and attack the ship. As you see, I died there again. Once your objective changes though, I would recommend start flying up in the air straight away, and hopefully you don't get shot down. Fly straight up in the air as soon as your objective changes. You should hit a checkpoint. Don't forget to weave left and right if you get shot in the back, and you will sort of trigger the next sort of part of the level, which is where you're flying through the clouds and getting ready for your second bomb run. In a moment you will get a few planes coming towards you. Again, I would just recommend moving left and right and just trying to hit them as many times as you can. I'm not too sure if you can actually die on this part. If you do die, let me know in the comments. It'd be nice to know if you can or not. But this part is pretty straightforward. You're flying forward with your team, and a few enemy planes fly towards you. You just got to do your best to sort of try and take out a few of those. Now you do take some damage, which is a part of the actual story, as you see there. But after this point, you will be sort of just moving on. Feel free to pause this video if you need to obviously catch up to any point that you see me. Again, I have skipped a little bit of this sort of level because there's not really much I can do in shape of telling you what to do or helping you, apart from the tips that I've said, really. Anyway, I really do wish you really much luck on this level, and I hope it goes really smoothly. The next part, unfortunately, is a pain in the backside, and hopefully I haven't had a chance to test this theory. Hopefully on the next part, the next bombing run, the way that I did it will work for you. If not, you are gonna have to sort of wing it. But anyway, keep going forward until you hit the checkpoint and get ready for your second dive bomb run. There you go, objective complete. So as I mentioned, that was just driving forward, flying forward, and eventually it will ask you to do the second dive bomb. Now, you'll see me go on in here. I'm going to actually leave my first death in, and then I'm going to skip to the one where I actually achieve it. Now, what I actually did here was press nothing. I actually pressed nothing. I didn't move left or right. You can see my character's moving left and right now, and I'm trying to dodge it, and over again it killed me. So what I would actually recommend doing here is actually just pressing nothing and let your plane just fly straight down, and hopefully it works for you like it did for me, and you will get through that part without dying. Anyway, I'm going to skip to the one that I actually won. It took me about 7 or 8 attempts until I thought, do you know what, I'm just not going to press anything, and it worked. So I'm going to do that right now. So yeah, I did look down my scope a couple of times and moved a little tiny bit when I was looking through my scope just to sort of look around. However, I did not move left or right on the D-pad or anything like that. I just let my plane go forward, and by some miracle it actually worked. I didn't die. So I'm hoping that that is a sort of workaround for the second ship. Don't forget, when you get close to the ground, hold your left trigger and fire bomb, which I believe is RB, and then that is the end of that level. Yay! Again, if you struggle on that level, I am so sorry. Again, it's a very frustrating level in my opinion. There is going to be somebody in the comments, I imagine, saying it's amazing and fantastic. Then my hats off goes off to you. If you enjoy it, then good. But anyway, yeah, that is that level. Let's move on to the next one. Welcome to the Numa Trails. Basically, back off as soon as you start the level and move your way to the right and follow it around to the right. Now, this level is going to be hard for me to sort of explain where I'm going, so hopefully you can sort of watch and sort of replicate what I'm doing. At the beginning, I backed off a little bit and followed the level around to the right. There's a guy in front of me in a bush. I used my special ability by pressing up on my D-pad to see him. And in a minute, you'll hear a lot of fighting and stuff, and then all the enemies will rush towards that. So be careful that you're not in the way of any of those. If you're on the right-hand side of the level, you should be absolutely fine. Just keep moving forward afterwards. Careful of traps and stuff. And just up ahead, past this rock and broken tree, you'll see a guy crouched behind the tree. You will need to sneak up on this guy. So crouch and sneak up on this guy. And kill him. Use your takedown. Once we kill him, we're going to move to the right of this tree. Be careful of the trap there. Move to the right of the tree and sort of stick to your right. And we're just going to keep making our way to the right here. There is a bit of a waterfall or a stream to our right there. Just cut across that and keep going forward. And then when we've got the rocks to our right, we're just going to follow it up the hill. Be careful, there is sometimes enemies randomly just dotted about. Just keep that in mind. Once we get to the top of this hill where you can see this big tree, we're going to sort of start heading left now. So we're going to start heading left across this area. And as you can see, I'm moving left until we get to these bushes where you can't get through, and we're going to then start walking forward. There is a log bridge. Cut across the log bridge, and that's when you know you're going in the right direction. Again, if you're struggling to keep up, just pause the video until you get to this point. Again, it's going to be extremely difficult for me to sort of explain where I am and stuff on this level, but stick to the left on this part and just keep going forward. Careful these two traps here on the floor, and just keep going forward and you will hit a checkpoint. Follow the map forward with the left part of the map as your main sort of point. Head into this little sort of bunker here. And on your left hand side there's a radio. We need to hold X on the radio. Once this radio sort of cinematic plays through, we need to climb up the ladder to the right of our screen. As soon as we get to the top of the ladder, we need to make a way to the right of the ladder. So as soon as you get to the top, start making your way to the right of that ladder. If there's an enemy right above your head, try not let him see you. As long as you're moving in your crouch, you should be alright. So as soon as you get to the top, start moving to the right of the ladder. Obviously I've turned around and then headed this way. So what that was is top of the ladder, take a right and follow the map around. Keep the map to your left, so all the wall is to your left, and then just keep following it round this way. Eventually you will come to a little path with a trip wire in the path. You will need to obviously take away the grenade from the trip wire. So defuse it, start heading towards this guy and head into the bushes just to the left and just follow it round. And eventually, just where he is, it will force you back onto the path. Just be careful to your right there is a guy looking towards you. Wait till he faces away, then go around the bush and head back down to the left. And just follow the left around. Again, you don't need to engage with these guys. Just stick to the left and stay in the bushes, and they shouldn't be able to see you. Just so you know, on my left hand side, you can't go any further. It's like bushes and stuff. I would recommend picking up this guy's ammo. And then just continue to follow the left hand side. You'll get some rocks and stuff to your left. Just keep going. Leave that to your left and just keep going. Follow it round. Eventually you will come up to a path near this tree, and then the path goes off to the left. Keep in mind there is a trap in the middle of the path, so be careful not to trip it. Use the X to defuse button, head forward and climb over the log bridge. This is the second log bridge. Careful you don't fall here. I'm not sure if you can fall off, but it does set an animation, so it is possible, I'm assuming. As you walk around this corner, there will be 3 enemies running from left to right. We're going to start walking towards them and follow them up the path. As you see, there is 2 ways to go, but we're going to go to the right and follow those guys. So just keep heading towards them. And then just after this big tree on our left, we are going to take a left, head up the hill, stay going forward, and just keep heading up towards this big bush and stuff. And eventually you'll see the plane with the circle on it. We're going to climb up on the wing, or is it a tree that's fallen over? A tree that's fallen over next to it. And we're going to go up and hold X on it. Now, as soon as you fire the flare, there is going to be enemies coming towards you. So you will need to drop down, and then if you press the 2 square button on your controller, if you're old school like me, the select button, it will show you which direction you'll need to head. It's sort of this direction. You will have to obviously watch the bit of the video there, then sort of follow on me. Southwest. As soon as you drop off the plane, a team will be right next to you, so you will need to sort of move to the southwest position as quickly as you can. It's sort of the same direction the plane was facing. So imagine the nose of the plane's facing one way. Just follow it in that direction, and then it will lead you to this point. You slide down a hill, and Matteo will trigger a cutscene. Hopefully you manage to keep along there. As I mentioned, it's very difficult for me to sort of explain where I'm going when you're in all these sort of bushes and stuff. So yeah, where the plane was crashed, head the same direction it was facing in a completely straight line, and it will lead you to this point. A scene will happen. I'm going to cut this scene now, so pause the video once you've watched the scenes and you're in the same position. Once you have been saved and you're given a gun, it does get a little bit tricky here. I'm not going to lie, you are going to potentially struggle a little bit here. I am going to try and walk you through it though as best as I can, but it is veteran, so obviously we are going to struggle on parts, but hopefully with my help you can get through these pretty easily. Once you've got your gun, follow your team and get in crouch behind these sort of boxes over here. You can use it up on your D-pad to use your ability, or you can save it until the next area. Either way, it's absolutely fine. Just make sure you stay behind the box until you've cleared out a few enemies. And then once you've done that, we're going to push up and get behind this rock. Remember to get back into cover if for any reason you are on really low health. As I mentioned, you can use your special ability whenever you want. Once you've taken out a few more enemies there, push up towards this tree on the left hand side and just sort of peek around the left hand side of the tree and kill whatever enemies are remaining around there. When you're confident there's not many left, push up to the cart in the distance and get behind the cart. And then if there's no more left, push down the hill and regroup with your team. Keeping in mind there's an ammo box here, so please do collect some ammo. Once you've regrouped with your team, we are going to head up the hill in just a second. So I am going to speed the video up a little bit here as we sort of make our way up the hill. It's not really much in regards to enemies and stuff, but eventually we'll get to this position here at the top of the hill. And when you do get to the top of the hill there, make sure you drop down and get behind this green sort of tractor thing. In the distance there's a sniper. You can't really shoot him from this position, I don't think, so we will need to wait for our team to catch up. And in just a moment our team are going to catch up and they're going to smoke the bridge and we're going to have to rush across. Don't go any further than this at the moment or you will get shot by the sniper. So just wait for your team to catch up and they will sort of lead the way for you. And you may get an achievement in a moment if you haven't already got it, and that is to kill the sniper without getting hit. If for any reason you do want to get this achievement and you've been hit already, just restart the checkpoint and it should put you back just behind up on the hill. So yeah, in a moment, as I mentioned, your team are going to start smoking the bridge. Once they do, we're going to run across and we're going to get behind the rock on the right hand side where that white shield is. So run up across the bridge and get behind this rock. Once we're behind this rock, we're going to look up at the trees in the distance, and if you press up on your D-pad, it will actually show you where the sniper is by lighting him up a yellowy colour in the distance. He was in that tree there. You may wish to rewind the video just so you can see which tree he was in. But yeah, use up on your D-pad and shoot him at distance. Just suppress him. Just do a couple of shots like burst fire, and you should be able to kill him, and he will fall out of the tree there. And yeah, so if you didn't get hit by him, you will get an achievement there, and it's as easy as that, really. So once we kill the sniper, we are going to head continue heading up to the right here. You can pick up the sniper rifle instead of the shotgun if you like, but I would definitely recommend keeping an AR or SMG if you have one or the other. Anyway, we're going to push on to the left here and we're going to follow it around to the left. So just keep coming around to the left here. And then there's a tree up in the distance here on the left hand side. We're going to get behind that and use it as cover. So quickly run to it. Use that as cover from the left. So stand there with it to your left. And then just shoot as many enemies as you can over here in the distance. So enemies will keep coming. They will try and throw grenades at you also. And there's a couple of enemies inside these traps over here. Once we kill them, we are going to make our way around to the left. Now, I am about to die, but I thought I'd keep it in anyway, just to show you that this area is going to be quite tricky to get. But we are going to stick to the left-hand side and get this achievement done. Okay, so again, we are going to, after the checkpoint, if you die, or if this is your first time still, as I mentioned, we're going to come up to this tree, and we're going to use it to cover our left. And as we do so, we're going to shoot as many enemies over here as we can. You can use your ability, press up on the D-pad to kill the guys that are running over the hill, because they can be quite annoying. Once we kill them, we're going to push forward and get behind this rock. I'm going to use this rock as cover. We're going to keep popping up and trying to take a few of the enemies out in the distance. Don't forget you can snap aim on this game by pressing left trigger. If you see that your aim snaps to somebody, just use that as your advantage and just kill them. But yeah, we're going to get behind that rock, make sure that nobody's there. Once we've got behind the rock and we're sort of confident that there's not too many enemies close by, we're going to start pushing up behind these trees on the left hand side. And we're slowly going to make our way around to the left, taking out as many enemies as we can. Keep in mind that all your team don't kill everybody, so even though there can be enemies standing right out in the open and your team will not even shoot at them, so do consider that. If you want to have ammo for any reason, I would recommend switching to your sniper rifle and using that to take out the last few enemies in the distance. Again, don't forget you do have your special ability by pressing up on your D-pad. Unlike me, I kind of keep forgetting, and I could probably use that to my advantage. So yeah, if you find yourself somewhere like this and you're trying to take out as many enemies as possible, use that special ability by pressing up on your D-pad, and that will show you where all the enemies are located. If, as I mentioned, you are out of ammo, try and collect some ammo or switch your weapon with one of these enemy dead weapons if necessary. I am getting pinged at by an enemy that's standing out in the open and my team are doing nothing about him. Again, you can use these sort of little holes and stuff in the ground to help keep you safe. And once you're through this area, we are going to head up the hill. Now, I imagine you're not quite through this area yet because, as I mentioned, I did die quite a few times here. So please do pause the video if you aren't up to scratch with me. Once you are through that area, follow it up and then take a left. And we're going to head up towards this broken tree. You will need to crouch to get under it or go around it to the right, I think. But just crouch underneath and keep going. Now, I did speed up the video a bit there, so if you need to catch up, just please pause the video. Eventually you'll get to this part where you can see sort of enemy fort type thing in the distance, and you'll be in a bit of a dialogue with this character, Booker Washington. And basically we're going to start pushing towards this Japanese artillery bunker type place. So yeah, just move forward and follow the directions of the character. They will tell you what you need to do. And so yeah, just push forward here. You'll have to follow the guy on the left hand side here because he will need help, so you will have to crawl underneath the barbed wire with him. And as you get through, you will need to do a couple of tasks. So yeah, we're gonna follow the guy with the flamethrower, which is on the left hand side. He asks you to mess with the barbed wire on his behalf, so just lift that up and let him through. Once he's through, we're gonna follow him by getting into the prone position and crawling under. As we crawl through, we will have to make a alternate route because the barbed wire falls over there. Just head left slightly and just keep crawling. Crawling this way. Eventually he gets stuck, we have to go and help him. Now this next part is pretty straightforward, pretty easy, but you may die a couple of times here just because there's the amount of bullets that are flying towards you. If one of the enemies get a bit lucky on you, then obviously the checkpoint will start, but it literally starts from right here, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'm going to leave one of my deaths in there just so you can see what I mean, but I will show you the route that I took that worked for me anyway. So yeah, just after this little cutscene. In fact guys, just while the cutscene's on, don't forget to go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will massively help us out, thank you. Anyway, so cutscene is over. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. I did try and run around slightly to the right here and get behind this rock, but I did actually get stuck on it, which led to me trying to go around the wrong way and getting wasted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the way that I went now, and it should help you get this pretty easily. So right at the beginning, we're going to run to the right and slide and get behind this rock. Let the enemy fire at us a little bit, then push to this next rock over here. And once we're in there, we can run up and literally set these guys on fire. It's as simple as that. Can't get any easier than that, guys. Just make sure you use those rocks as cover as you're moving up. And when you get into this bunker, make sure you dip in and out and set these enemy on fire. For some reason, I've still managed to miss a couple of guys, as you'll see in just a second. There's one right there, right in front of me that I haven't even noticed is standing there. And there he is. There you go. Finally noticed. Anyway, so yeah, just come in here, burn all these guys, and it's pretty straightforward as that. So once we've cleared out the bunker, we're going to leave via the back door. And be careful when you leave because there's enemies to your left up this hill. We're going to use everything here as cover, so the truck and the rocks and even the fence. Be careful because a guy does rush you with his bayonet. And once we kill these few guys, you're going to push up. Be careful behind the rocks and stuff because some of the enemies do actually hide behind those. And as you can see there, he was just literally just sat out in the open and my team did nothing about him. But yeah, just push up to here. It's pretty straightforward. I did it really easily. Hopefully you did as well. Once you get to the top, we're going to use this sort of corner as cover and we're going to start shooting at the enemies. We are actually going to run to the left there and then burn all the enemies inside this bunker. So run to the left and use that to shoot at the enemies. There's a couple of guys over here, but we are actually going to run through this wall right there. So run through that door and then we're inside. It can be a little bit tricky to see the enemies that are up in the distance in this room, so do keep that in mind. When we're pushing through these tunnels, keep in mind to use whatever cover you can, and whenever there's no enemies in front of you, push up to the next cover and basically make your way up from there. I didn't struggle here at all, even though I thought I would, because it seems like one of them sort of positioned. You can make your way through to the left by breaking through the wall. However, I imagine that this is going to be one of those areas where you find a way that is more comfortable for yourself. But I pretty much stuck to the left till I got to this point, and then I took out these enemies, and then I actually switched to the right hand side instead. So I actually went outside. Don't forget to pick up some ammo. There's some over near that cannon. Once you've got that, push up and follow it around. And again, just keep an eye on the enemies up in the distance. Because of all the paths and stuff, there's quite a lot. As you can see, there's loads just outside, but just bring yourself up here and kill the enemies as you can. Make sure you duck in cover whenever you can, and keep an eye out for grenade indicators on your screen. So yeah, just push your way up inside, killing all the enemies as you can. Don't forget, if you take damage, guys, to get behind cover and heal yourself. And yeah, just keep making your way up. There's no real right or wrong way to do this area. Just basically stay alive as long as you can until they get to the top, really. So yeah, make your way up here. Shoot as many enemies. I'm shooting friendlies there because I thought they were enemies, but they weren't. So yeah, just get to the top. Keep going around here. Make sure you're staying behind cover where possible. And when you get to the top, it will be your duty to destroy the cannon. Pick up some ammo and some grenades from these two boxes over here. Come over to the cannon, hold X on it to destroy it. Move back because you don't want to take any damage. Get around this corner over here. Once you've done that, you can break through this wall and pick up ammo and stuff if you like. I did pick up the grenade launcher just for a little while because just outside there's quite big groups of enemies that sort of huddle together. So it is going to be a little bit of fun, but I would recommend keeping a SMG or AR with the most ammo that you can find, because you are going to have to go through quite a large area in just a second where you will need all the ammo you can get, and you'll see that I run out. So yeah, just basically do what he says, go onto the binoculars and sort of look around, and you'll get excited because you've found a plane, and you know that this character really loves his planes. So yes, all good. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of dialogue here, guys. We're going to have to make our way through this next part. This next part can be quite daunting because of the amount of enemies around. But as long as you follow on with what I do, there should be no reason why you don't get through it just as easy as I did, really. So yeah, let's crack on. Soon as you've spoken to him and him as well, Mateo, you will need to start pushing down the hill towards the plane. So yeah. Don't try and use the grenade from here. I did and wasted one. It actually doesn't go past the barbed wire, so don't waste any of your grenades if you are carrying the grenade launcher. Don't forget to pick up any ammo over here. Anyway, so when we go outside, there'll be a group of enemies right in front of us. Crouch, just so you can sort of see them without them being able to hurt you. And wherever there's groups of enemies, use your grenade launcher to kill them. I would recommend trying to save it for groups of 3. I kind of waste them on groups of, well, single guys and sometimes groups of 2. Just stay behind this cover as long as you can and get rid of the grenade launcher as soon as you run out of ammo for it, and pick up a secondary weapon. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use the cover and start making our way down the ramp to the right. Now make sure that you cleared out the small area to your left. Don't start pushing down the hill if that area still has enemies in it, otherwise they'll just shoot you in the back. So this area here. Make your way down, get to this corner, so stick to the left and get behind this little fence here. I'm going to use that as cover to kill all these enemies that are still left down here. As I mentioned, just stay behind this sort of fence area and shoot the enemies to the left. There is a couple of mounted guns to your right, but I would highly recommend avoiding them, just because on veteran, because you only die in a couple of rounds, you will just get wasted. So just clear out this area, kill as many enemies as you can, and then once you've done that, we're going to start making our way to the right over here. So it's kind of like a S shape, and we come down one ramp, take a left, go down the next ramp, take a right, and then make our way down here towards our tanks. Now run towards the first tank and get to the left hand side of it and just sort of walk left with it. Careful of any enemies hiding around the corner there. Sort of follow this first tank, and just in line with this bunker, we're going to run straight across, killing enemies that are sort of camping around. He falls into a rock for some strange reason. And basically we're going to make our way into this first bunker on the right, and then we're going to use this as our sort of platform to move on to the next one. Be very careful about running out of ammo. I do it a couple of times here. Once you move into this sort of highly populated area outside of the bunker, don't forget to use your power up to take out as many enemies as you can. So it sort of locks onto the enemies itself, so keep that in mind. You sort of just have to look in their general direction, and with this power on, it will automatically do it. So come outside and get into any cover you can, and we're going to make our way over into this sort of 3-floored building just ahead of ourselves here. But we're not going to go upstairs or anything like that. We're just going to get inside here and climb through the window. There is an ammo box inside, so I would highly recommend picking up both ammo and grenades. Be careful that you don't get rushed from any enemies from outside. We are actually going to make our way out the back door, which is the door to our right once we entered, and we're going to go out the back over here. Don't shoot your own teammates like me. We're going to work our way along this sort of trench. If you struggle to follow where that was, please do pause the video, rewind the video, and just have a quick look at which direction I headed in. It's out the back end. So stick down in this trench and sort of follow it forward, and then when you get to the end of the trench, climb out and creep along this wall here. It does ask you to return to mission, but as long as you stay quite close to the wall, you should be absolutely fine. Once you get to the end of the wall, loads of enemies start running from your left, but you don't really need to take all of them on, just a few, and head straight into the bunker where the plane is. And as soon as you get the first opportunity, climb on the wing and get the ball rolling towards the next part of the mission. You are given this LMG. I'm pretty sure you don't have to reload it from memory. I never did, that I remember anyway. So yeah, you're given the LMG, and we're going to leave the bunker. As soon as you leave the bunker in the plane, look to your right and where the explosion was there on the right hand side, and just shoot any enemies that start rushing from that direction, which include leaving the vehicle, the truck there on the left, and they just all start coming out of there and start shooting at your tanks. So just keep heading that way. When the plane flies over, you will need to concentrate on him just a little bit, but just keep panning back to the enemies on foot, and then whenever the plane sort of lines you up, so it will start flying towards you eventually from towards the sun. Line him up, and as he flies towards you, just keep shooting him. Then look to your left, and there's loads of enemy that I just started gathering from towards where we originally came from. So start wasting these guys. Hopefully you manage to take out the plane pretty early on, so you can sort of concentrate on these guys like so. If not, just sort of snap back to the plane every now and again and shoot at that, and then shoot these guys. But hopefully you did manage it as easy as I did. That was my first attempt, so I'm sure that you could have done it on your first attempt. Again, if you did struggle there, just go back and watch the video and just follow along with what I mentioned of who you should be shooting in what order, and you should have absolutely no problem of sort of getting that sorted. Eventually you will be put back into first person view inside the plane. Just follow the on-screen instructions, including shooting the guns as well. Just so you can get this sort of level finished. As soon as you get down the runway, that is this level complete. There is going to be a cutscene, but I am going to cut that out, so you may wish to pause this video until you catch up, and we are going to move on to the next level afterwards. Now eventually you will get onto this level after all the cutscenes, etc, etc. If not, if you're still not here yet, please don't forget to pause the video until you've caught up. Basically you'll be on the Soviet sort of Russia level again, Stalingrad, with your brother, and you'll come across this ominous sort of character that's already been sniped in the head, and it sort of puts you into a position where you're a little bit weary of the potential surroundings and the potential of getting sniped. Once the cutscene and the dialogue sort of finished, work your way around to the right and follow it round all the way up into this house. I did actually speed it up a bit there, guys, so you may need to pause the video to catch up. It's just that it takes so long for your brother to get there. I thought it best. So yeah, what we're going to do on this area, we need to take out some snipers, and you need to sort of do it in an order that is going to work for you. Now I am going to try and explain the best sort of method for this, but it is going to take a little bit of skill on your behalf, because you will need to snipe yourself. So as soon as you leave the building with your brother, crouch and lie behind this cart, then aim for the big tower on the right hand side in the distance, and there's a guy right at the top on the right hand side. You need to snipe him. As you can see there, I was a little bit hasty with standing up when I pressed up on my D-pad to get my brother to distract him. I'm going to leave that in because I need you guys to sort of figure out where these enemies are. So again, snipe the guy on the right hand side. I nearly messed up there, but he is in the right hand side up in that tower. If you ever need to figure out where the snipers are, please do pause this video and watch what I'm doing. This time I press up on my D-pad and I actually wait for my brother to tell me that he's done it. So be sure that you wait for your brother to say that he has done it, so that you can then take your shot and kill the sniper. Once you kill that second sniper, push towards your brother and get in the sort of ruins just up ahead. Here, I'm going to take our next two shots from here. The first sniper is directly ahead towards that telegraph pole, just to the left of it there, but halfway up in that sort of dark area. Kill him and then look to your right and back to the tower that we originally shot the first sniper from. It is in the top left window, which is like, you can see for yourself. Once we killed those two, we are going to move to the next area. Don't forget, guys, please rewind and watch the video again if you struggle to find out where the snipers are. Once you kill that the fourth sniper, push down to the left and follow this sort of path, and you will find this little tunnel. Again, if you struggle to keep up with me there, please just rewind the video a little bit until you get to this point and just watch it back until you figure out which way I went. Once you leave the tunnel and you come up here, now you'll notice the volume sort of changed. That's because I've slowed it down just a little bit, just so I can explain. When you come out of the tunnel, walk about halfway up the hill, and then walk backwards, and this little doggy will sort of rush you. So please do keep that in mind. And then directly in the same direction as the dog on the roof ahead of you, there is actually a sniper. You will need to sort of peek him and kill him as quickly as possible. Then on the right hand side, follow your building to the right. It's a little bit further than this. There, these sort of brick walls that go up in like steps, and the sniper is up towards the top there. So you will also need to take him out. I've slowed it down just so you guys can see where both of these guys are. Because I remember trying to figure out where they were myself and struggling. So I'll slow that down so you can get it. So yeah, kill the dog directly in the same direction as the dog on the roof directly ahead of you. There is a sniper, and then to the right of that sniper, where the bricks sort of go down in stages, there is another sniper. Be careful with how long it takes you, because if you take too long, you will get rushed by this guy here. And I'll explain a bit more about him in just a moment. So don't forget to take out both the snipers. I still haven't taken him out. I'm looking too far to the right, but he is there. So I would recommend obviously having a good look at this video to figure out where that is in relation to yourself, so that you can kill both those snipers with ease. Anyway, once you kill both the snipers, come over to this little hole and we're going to start killing the enemies towards the truck. The one thing I would say, and to be careful of, is a lot of enemies. See this chimney just to the left of the screen here, what I'm looking at right now? Some of the enemies actually push around to the left of that chimney and keep coming around to our left and get behind us. So I would every couple of seconds or so just have a look just to the left of that chimney that's in the middle of the screen right now, well, sort of middle left, and just make sure that an enemy isn't pushing around while you're looking down your scope and getting behind you. But all I would recommend here is killing these guys every couple of seconds or so, about 3 seconds. Make sure no one's trying to flank you on the left hand side, and just keep taking these enemies out. I am going to speed the video back up a little bit here, just until we get to the next part. So yeah, just concentrate on these guys here. I would recommend using a sniper rifle just because of the sort of distance they are away from you, and just keep picking them off. As long as you're in this position, you should be absolutely fine. If for any reason you do get hit, just get back into cover as quickly as you can. It did take me about 15 attempts to do this area, but with my help, if you follow this guide, I think you should be able to do it within 2 or 3. Don't get too frustrated with this area. It is pretty straightforward once you learn the sort of patterns of the enemies. But with this video, you should be absolutely fine. Once you've sort of cleared enough, push to this next part where the chimney is, and just start taking out the enemies from here. If you are low on ammo, just have a look around for any enemies that you've killed to see which ones I've dropped some ammo for you. So yeah, just slowly make your way forward. As soon as you realise there's not many enemies left, just keep pushing forward. And once you get behind this truck, you actually do activate your checkpoint, so you're actually pretty good for the next part. Now, Be careful here because there is some enemies that sort of push from your left and then some from directly in front of you. And I think there's also a sniper in the distance somewhere, so do keep that in mind as well. So what I do here, I'm going to actually leave it in. I make a mistake and I push forward, where I would actually recommend actually staying back where you were and then moving forward with time, because you do have to face this Jaeger guy. I think it's called Jaeger. And he chucks smokes down and basically blasts you within a couple of shots, wasting you really easily. So I'm going to leave that in, like I mentioned, just so you guys can see the mistake I made. But yes, as soon as I die, I'll walk you through what I did the second time around. So yeah, there you go, dead. Again, so once the checkpoint starts, we're actually going to hang around this area this time, and we're actually going to try and take out these enemies from a distance. So I push back over here. Yeah, come and get behind this red car over here, which is just behind you. And directly ahead of you, there's a sniper on the ledge. Now, he can be a little bit of a pain. Hopefully, you've got a good shot. Don't worry, though. Because the checkpoint is right there, you should be absolutely fine to get this area. I am looking around for a second sniper, but I don't think one exists from memory. I think that was the only one. What I recommend here then is just using this position to take out that sniper and that other guy, and then push back towards the truck. And we're just going to take out the last few enemies that are over in the distance from us. I believe there's about 4 or 5. The one that we're going to struggle with the most is the Jaeger. What we're going to do is we're going to sort of push forward and kill those guys. And we're going to try and draw the Jaeger towards us. So once we get back to here, there's some ammo on a couple of these guys. Try and pick some ammo up if you can, because the sniper rifle is the best weapon against the Jaeger. So eventually, once you push forward enough, the Jaeger will come. Push back towards the red car over here. Careful you don't get shot in the back and nearly die like me. And basically, just keep aiming for the head of the Jaeger. He will start, like I said, he will start walking towards you. If you look towards the smoke, it should give himself away usually. Don't forget to crouch into the cover if you need to. The reason why I've moved so far away from the Jaeger is because when he drops smoke, he's usually within a sort of a close range sort of distance. So if he gets close to us, we're actually going to back off a little bit and get behind the next cover available, which is a little bit further away. And we're just going to keep aiming for his head. Again, you don't need to use the sniper rifle, but I find it is a lot better to kill him with. So again, we're going to push away from him and just stick behind cover at distance. Don't try and get too close, or don't let him get too close to you, because if you do, he will kill you within a couple of shots. But it's as simple as that. Just back off away from him, snipe him in the head or shoot him a lot. Back off away from him, shoot him in the head or shoot him a lot, etc, etc. Just rewind the video if you need to, but I think that's pretty straightforward. Now I've explained it to you, you should be absolutely fine. Once you've killed him, push forward. There might be an enemy or two left just ahead of you, so be careful in regards to that. Make sure that you stick behind cover and kill the last few. And then as you get towards this sort of building over here, you are able to sort of push up and climb up. You will start the checkpoint, which is good, because that part was the sort of one of the more difficult areas of the game. Once you cut through here, it will be the part where it gets a little bit interesting, and you will have to sort of cover your brother as such. You'll see. Hopefully you can get through this part with quite ease. But yeah, just follow your brother through the trench up until this next part. So just keep following him through, and there is a little bit of a dialogue here and a few enemies appear. I did try and see if I could snipe from this point of view, but it won't let me look down my gun. I think they've done that on purpose. But anyway, come over to your brother, hold X, and he'll allow you to use the binoculars. If you've already done this part, you'll know what's coming. If not, then I'll sort of allow you to sort of see it for yourself for the first time. So yeah, a bit of a dialogue between the characters, the Nazis in the distance, and eventually the next part shall trigger. So yeah, just be a little bit patient at this part, and then eventually sniper looks at you and shoots and gets a sucker bullet right in your brother's where is it again? His gut. Straight in the gut. Right. So this part can be a little bit of a pain, but I actually think they've made it easier than what it looks like. It should be a really hard part to do on veteran, and I thought, thinking back when I first did the game, that this part would be a nightmare, but I actually did it, I think, second attempt. So straight away, look towards the burning car in the distance, and just to the left of it, an enemy will run towards you. In fact, 2 enemies run towards you. Kill both of those guys with your pistol, and one will also appear just as you go through here. One will appear directly in front of you, and another one up to the right. Don't forget to reload, but be careful not to reload too late, because that guy will rush you. When you get around this corner, just keep looking towards the top there, and he will be there, and one inside. One will shoot at you from above in just a couple of seconds, so get ready for him. There he is, through there. Don't forget to reload and kill him, hopefully. A grenade will land in front of you in just a second, to get ready to throw it out directly ahead of yourself. So there, pick it up and throw it. There will be one guy directly ahead of you here, and one to your right. And then there will be one to your left as well, so be careful there. He pops out and shoots at you, and then one rushes you. And now one's directly ahead of you, just to the left, where that rocket came from, and one to the right as well. He's the one that kills me. So where the rocket comes from, you want to actually be aiming slightly to the right of that, because that's where the one is that you can't really see because of the explosion, and he is the one that sort of will kill you. So yeah, as mentioned, this part, one on the left, one on the right. At the top, one comes from the left and one rushes you. So he's at the left and the other one rushes. And then on this next part, just to the right of where the rocket fires from, there is an enemy that appears there, as you can see. There is then one that's to your left, and keep pushing forward as quick as you can. Kill the guy ahead of you, and then that should, if you keep pushing forward, trigger the rocket and the next cutscene. It's as simple as that, guys. You may wish to watch my video just to show you where those guys are, or just play it a couple of times just till you learn where the enemies sort of spawn. And as long as you're pushing forward at the end there, it should push you down into this area. I am going to fast forward this part. In fact, I'm going to cut the video here until this sort of checkpoint's finished. Pause the video, guys, there until you catch up. Anyway, once we're out the other side, we'll spawn in this sort of shopping area. There's a guy right in front of us to our left. We're going to sneak up and kill him from behind. Then we're going to push to our left. Keeping in mind there's 2 enemies to our right, so just make sure you're crouched and you're making a way around to the left under these sort of counters, and just keep going around this way. Come underneath that area there and keep pushing to the left until you get to this sort of ramp area. Then get round to the wall here to the left. Again, please rewind the video if you sort of lost track of what I did there. I did do it pretty quickly. Once this guy walks past, we're going to come in behind him and kill him, and then we're going to make our way up this little snow ramp. Keep an eye on that guy there to the right, but you should be absolutely fine. Creep up here and then climb up on this sort of yellow area at the top of that little ramp. Once you're in here, follow it around to the left, through this little gap in the wall in the bathroom. I think that's a bathroom anyway. Past the mannequin, and then through the vent here. There's a guy right in front of us. Just knife him a couple of times and he should be dead. And then this part can be a little bit tricky, so keep that in mind. Get behind the counter here and let the guy that's walking towards us get very close, and then sort of move around behind the till as he moves to our right. And just be careful of the guy ahead there. We're going to come out here and we're going to kill the guy on our right. So come around to the right, and in fact we're going to kill the guy that's crouched down here, not the guy to the right, sorry. So hopefully you got to see what I did there. I did get spotted, but as long as you killed him and run up the stairs and jump on this little ledge here, you should be absolutely fine, because that triggers the next part of the level. Climb up here and onto this little yellow sheet, then make your way across the ledge here, and you'll see all the enemies arriving just for you. These guys have come just for you. Now this next part can be a little bit tricky. I bet you hate when I say tricky, I say it that much, but this next part can be a little bit so. So once we're in this little room, we're going to go between these 2 drawers here, filing cabinets, and we're going to push through here. That did trigger a checkpoint there, and our objective updates. So just creep around here, you'll see all the enemies creeping in the building below you, and just stick on this ledge and make your way to the left. Now I am going to explain what I did on this next part. It did take me around about 11 attempts, I would say. I'm hoping that with my help you guys can get it on 1 or 2 attempts. So he'll chuck you through the roof on the cutscene and you will fall down back down to where we once were. So once you're down here, what we're going to do is once we're up, we're going to actually go around to the left of the map here. So, in fact, no, we're not. Crouch behind the table, sorry, and press up on your D-pad until the sniper takes shot at you. Pop up quickly and shoot him. He's directly ahead of you when you spawn back in. You can shoot him a couple of times in the head, and then he releases the smoke. Now, once he's dropped the smoke, you will have to wait a little while. Now, I think this might be a random. I could be wrong, but I think this may be random. But for me, I waited here behind the desk for a little while, and then he actually attacked me from my left. Very, very close left, behind that bookcase, in fact. So keep that in mind. He may attack you from the same position, he may not. But basically, you need to kill this guy before the next part sort of triggers. But yeah, he comes from my left in just a moment. He starts to try and rush me. I did move around a little bit, and then when I got to this point, I think it was this point, yeah, he drops down to my left and then starts to rush me. Luckily, I managed to get my machine gun out, my SMG, and finish him off. Okay, so once we have killed that guy, we are going to come around this way to the left, pick up some grenades, and then we're going to go left outside this door and left onto this sort of stairwell here. Now, we're going to make our way up this stairwell in just a second. So make your way up the stairwell. I can't remember what I was doing here, I was just messing around. But yeah, make your way up the stairwell and then put yourself in this far corner here. And what we're going to do is we're going to shoot, and that's actually going to draw the attention of all the enemies on this level. And they're going to try rushes. Now, the only way that they can attack us from is down the stairs to our right and through this door ahead here. Well, sort of that general direction ahead of us, should I say. Now, the issue you have with this method is obviously bad timing reloading, just as you nearly saw there, or running out of ammo. So you will have to sort of pick ammo up off the dead bodies as you go, and you just got to hope that as you're picking up ammo, you don't get attacked at that point. If for any reason it goes a bit quiet, yeah, always be careful not to look away too soon, because enemies are guaranteed to walk around the corner just as you do. Basically, what I would recommend is just keep looking down that way. The enemies never shoot you from down the stairs, so don't worry about that. Now and again, I think you do get a grenade come in here, so just keep that in mind. So you might have to quickly throw one out or move out the way. There is a couple of heavy hitting enemies towards the end, but overall I found that this is the easiest method than having to run around and take on all the enemies. I wouldn't try and get the achievement on this part. I would literally just sit in this corner, kill as many enemies as you can, keep looking towards that door. If any enemies come up the stairs, shoot them. If any enemies come through that door or towards that direction, shoot them. Every now and again, the enemies will kind of lose track of you because they obviously can't see you. When that happens, all you need to do is just fire a couple of rounds, and that will trigger the enemies to know that you're there again, and then they will come and attack you again. As you can see, I get a bit unlucky here. However, I did not long back trigger a checkpoint. So we're still in the perfect position to carry on from where we died. So just stay here as I mentioned, and just keep collecting, getting the deaths, getting the kills really. As I previously mentioned, you may have to move up and down the stairs a couple of times just to collect some ammo and stuff. When your bullets run out, because there's that many enemies here, they just keep coming and coming and coming, so you will have to switch weapons at some point, just to sort of be able to attack, obviously. But anyway, what you basically just stay in this corner for the sort of main bulk of it. I reckon there's around 30 or so enemies in total, so there is a lot. So yeah, just stay here. Eventually, you'll realize that enemies stop coming altogether, and when you realize that no more enemies are coming, what I would recommend doing is shooting. If no enemies still come, go and have a look around outside and just see if you can spot any. If there is like a group of enemies, just shoot at them and then come back into this corner, and they should come and attack you. If they don't, switch to a sniper rifle and just attack them from distance. Just be careful that when you do that, you don't leave your back vulnerable. So yeah, just stick around this area. Continue to pick up any ammo that the enemy drop. I wouldn't, should I say, recommend leaving the stairs area unless nobody's visited in a while. There is ammo, a couple of ammo spots located around the map, but they don't really give you that much that it makes it worth it leaving. Eventually, like for example there, I left only to discover that there's like 15 or so enemies still there, so quickly ran back to the stairs. But yeah, if for any reason the enemy do stop, like I mentioned, you can sort of try and entice them in, but make sure that as soon as you do that, you are ready and prepared for them, because as soon as you let your guard down, you can almost guarantee that 2 or 3 of them will rush you at once. And basically, once you have killed all of the enemy, always be careful shooting the guys on the stairs, because you can almost guarantee as soon as you look down the stairs, somebody will come down that corridor at the same time. It is going to require a bit of luck, guys, I'm not going to lie. It did take me around about 7 or 8 times to get this sort of perfected. I tried multiple different methods, and I found that this is the easiest one to obviously get you guys this achievement. So yeah, stay at the top of stairs, don't get too... I know it's very easy to get bored when you've got to sit around. But yeah, eventually you will get one of the big guys rush you. For me, he came straight down the corridor there in the doorway. When he does rush you, just chuck a couple of grenades in and you should be able to kill him pretty easily. He does have a shotgun as well, I think, or an LMG. But yeah, I'm going to chop this video up a little bit, but I've given you the sort of the basics of what you need to get through this part of the level. There's not really much more I can tell you. I mean, I've tried numerous different methods of getting through this part of the level, and by far this was the easiest way to get this. So yeah, just as I mentioned, just stay on your toes. I know it gets a little bit boring, but as soon as you let your guard down, you will probably die, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, so once all the enemies are pretty much dead and no more enemies start coming through, what you'll need to do is you will have to leave this room and go and find the sniper. I see 1 or 2 snipers. It's either 1 or 2 snipers. But yeah, nothing really too much to worry about. And again, every now and again you will actually trigger a checkpoint just from being in this corner, so don't worry about it too much. So here's the big guy, I think. Was that the big guy? No. But yeah, the enemies just keep coming and coming and coming. Don't forget to switch your weapons every now and again. Try not to do it right in this corner, because you will drop guns with no ammunition, and you can still actually pick the guns up with no ammunition. So it does make it a little bit more tricky to pick up a weapon in a hurry if you are desperate. There you go, I just reached a new checkpoint. There's the big guy. As soon as the big guy comes out, he'll start chucking smoke at you. So just start chucking some grenades in the room with him. And hopefully, just like me, you managed to kill him with pretty much good ease, so it didn't take very long. Once you have sort of killed him and there's a few more guys after him, you kind of know you're coming close to the end. When there's no one else left, you will have to come up against the snipers. As you can see, it's just over there in the distance. Just get sort of close to the corner, press up on your D-pad, then he will fire at you even though you're in cover, and waste his shot. Take a couple of shots at him, and then once we've hit him a couple of times, we are going to go out and find him and finish him off. I'm going to speed up the video here just until I get back in my sights, just so you guys haven't got to watch me do it. Now, I'm not sure if the sniper will be in the same position for you guys, because I think he's a bit random. But yeah, I shot him the first time over where I just did. Then the second attempt, he was over to my left here. You can barely make him out, but he is over in this corner over here. Manages to actually do quite a bit of damage to me. I probably should have died there. Try and draw his fire and just remember where it was that you saw him last, and make sure that you get the kill. And then once you've killed him, that is pretty much this area of the game complete, and it is one of the most difficult. Once you've killed the sniper, again, you can rewind that and just check if he's in the same location for you as he was for me, if you're struggling to find him. And hopefully I did help you get through that part of the level. I think if you follow my instructions, you may die a few times, but once you get used to where the enemies come from, etc., etc., you should have no problem doing that at all, really. So once you make your way through and climb up those stones over by the steps, you will need to get through this little part. Be sure to press up on your D-pad to get through the open areas. As soon as the guy shoots, make sure you run through. You will have to go into this room and climb up. It is a little bit tricky there, I know, I keep saying tricky. But once you make it into this room, you need to climb up. And you will fall into the sort of mannequin room in a moment. And this is where you will have to fight what I call the boss. Now, it is pretty straightforward. You'll have to get a takedown attack on him 3 times. He can be a little bit annoying, but usually he's in the same place all 3 times. Unfortunately, I didn't get the entire video of the fight on because I actually ran out of storage on my laptop and it kicked me out of my recorder, and there was no possible way of going back. I tried to restart the checkpoint, but it already started me halfway through the fight. But anyway, he's pretty much in the same he's in the same place 3 times pretty much. Just sort of let him get your attention and then just go around an object and knife him in the back. It's as straightforward as that, really. You shouldn't really struggle on this part, I don't think. I did it on both easy and veteran. I died once on both, but other than that, I did it second go on both. So yeah, hopefully you guys can get through this fight really without much help. But again, basically try and draw his attention. Once you see him, run around an object and just come up behind him 3 times, and then once you've done that, he'll be outside. So once you, as I mentioned, you've been behind him 3 times and you got the takedowns, don't try and melee him from the front or the side. It has to be a takedown. If you try and melee him, he'll just turn around and want to kill you, just to point out. Once you got the 3 times, this door will open over here in the corner, and you will have to follow the snow trail up and around and to the end of the mission. I think this bit's just for sort of scenic view potentially. You just follow this blood trail and then it kicks into the cutscene. So I am actually going to jump ahead here just because you don't need to watch me do something that you're going to have to do that I can't really help you with anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to jump on to the next stage here. Once you get onto the rats level, I keep forgetting what it's called, this level anyway. Once you get onto this level, we've just got a few areas that we need to get through. First of all, you need to come around here and activate the explosive. I'm just going to skip this bit just so you don't have to watch me. Be sure to pause the video if you need to catch up there. Basically, once this guy's tried to blow up the tank, we'll be in a bit of a position where you've got to throw a grenade inside the tank yourself. Now, your character's speciality is throwing grenades, so you'll actually get a line to show you where that grenade's going to throw. Just chuck it down and into there, and that will actually destroy the tank. Afterwards, the enemy will know you're there, so they will start to shoot up at you. You can chuck a couple of grenades down near the lorry, the truck, and that should kill a few of them. I'd recommend just staying up here and trying to pick off a few of the enemies from this point of view. If you do take any damage, just go back a little bit so you don't die. So yeah, just as I mentioned, try and pick a few off from up here. Duck into cover, or move back, should I say, just a little bit if you do need to heal up. Once you've killed a couple of them, we are going to move down to the next ledge and get behind this rock next to where these grenades are. Now, I would recommend chucking the 2 grenades that you have before you stock up on that grenade crate, because that way you will get 4 grenades instead of 2. Or 1, depending on how many you had left. So yeah, just pick up those grenades there, then move over to the next rock. And again, we're going to use this rock to cover us as we take out the enemies down below. So once you have taken enough enemies out from this position, run down and get behind the sort of car that's down here. Be careful if it hasn't been blown up yet, because it can be blown up and you can take damage from that. So yeah, get behind this, use it as cover. If you do take damage, make sure to lie down and to get fully healed. Again, keeping in mind, if the car hasn't already been blown up, it can get blown up, so keep that in mind. Once you're okay to move up, move over behind this truck, and I would be careful here because some enemies do actually get up on that ledge to your left at about 11 o'clock position from here, and they can shoot you from there. So just make sure that you clear out any of the enemies that are up on that ledge before popping out too far to the left. I do get a little bit cavalier here and pop out a little bit too much and too far, where you guys should probably just take it a little bit more narrow than me, and keep that in mind. On this part, you will need to chuck a grenade in the back of the half track. It can be a little bit tricky, but just try and line up your grenade, preferably the first throw, and get those guys. If for any reason you've wasted all your grenades, you will need to shoot out the machine gunner on the back of the half truck. So yeah, just keep sort of popping around, taking out as many of these as you can. Again, it can be a little bit harder on this area because the enemies seem to ping you from miles away. But as long as you stay around the back of this truck, for the most part that is, you should be fine. Once, yeah, I left a little bit too early there. Stay around that truck until you have cleared out most of them, and then this time we're going to try something a little bit different. Luckily we've got a checkpoint behind the truck. For some reason it doesn't always give you that checkpoint, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it did give it to you. Just be careful of this same guy here. I'm going to go around to the right this time, just because I don't think you can get an angle because of the rocks here. There's some grenades up here as well, so if you do need to replenish them, just nip up here. Don't come up this part unless you've cleared out all the enemies that are on foot around these trucks. When you get to this position, you can then throw a grenade over and into the truck without really having to get shot at. Once that truck's dead, we need to push up, and then that will go to the next part. I am going to cut a little bit of this part out, guys, just until you catch up. So basically, just follow along, go to the top, take a right, go down the road until you get to the next village. I'm going to cut this video there just so you don't have to watch me do that when you've got to do it anyway. In fact, guys, instead of cutting it out, what I'm going to do is speed it up, just so you guys don't get confused to where I've actually gone. So just follow this path. It will tell you that this guy is still left alive, and he's sort of headed in this direction. We're going to follow him until we get to this part down here. Now, this part can be quite difficult too, but what I'd recommend here, and hopefully it works out for you the same way, is stick to the left over here and crouch down behind these rocks and stuff, and just stay behind this wall post, these bricks over here, and make your way up to the left hand side here. This guy will start walking towards you, so hopefully you can get behind this rock before he does. And just keep in mind, as soon as you shoot or attack this character, all the others are going to be alerted, so just tackle him as soon as you can. As soon as he's dead, guys, turn around and lean against this wall over here. There is a guy on the turret to our left. I did cut a little bit of video and forgot to put him in there, so make sure you kill the guy on the turret to your left, and then basically use this angle here to kill as many of the enemies inside that building over there. Now, there is a guy on the tower to your left, but for some reason he never shoots at you, and I don't think he ever attacks you either. Once you've killed the majority of the enemies inside that house, you are able to move up and kill the last remaining few. Now, there's some guys sometimes out in the open over here, and the others are usually in that house. And don't forget, guys, you will have to kill the guy above you as well. You can get on this turret, but I wouldn't recommend it if there's 4 or 5 enemies left, only if there's one. So this is where I remembered that there's actually a guy above me. And yeah, just basically turn around and start blowing stuff up, really. Chuck a grenade up there and you should be good. Once you take out this final guy in the house, you are able to go inside and click on the map on the table. I would recommend taking one of the guns from the table also. You don't have to, it's whatever you're more comfortable with. And I would also recommend taking the knives from the dartboard on the right as well, because these allow us to instantly kill enemies at close range without having to give away our position. So I would highly recommend those. Once you've gone through this bit of a dialogue, we do need to sneak through the next area. Well, we don't need to sneak through the next area, but we're going to. You will also get an achievement for not being spotted in this next area. So if you do want to load a checkpoint, if you do manage to get seen at any point, please feel free to do that. But yeah, once we've spoken to these guys, we are going to move out and move on to the next part. As soon as you move through these, so this is the gun I picked up off the table because it does have a suppressor on it, and I also picked up these knives over here. But again, you don't have to pick up any weapons that you're not really comfortable with using. I did have a quick look around for ammo and stuff, but I was happy with the weapon that I picked up. There's one there leaning against the wall as well. But anyway, so once you go through this fence, we need to run straight ahead, and you can see this hole in the wall over here. Just run straight forward. You'll see a vehicle coming up the road, but just ignore that and just keep running straight forward and through this hole. Keep running forward and then start to head slightly left next to this wall and keep moving forward. When you get down to the bottom down here, there is 3 men, so you will need to slow down a little bit. The one that we need to make sure that doesn't spot us really is the one up on the ledge, just a little bit further up there. Eventually you will get the opportunity to kill both these guys with relative ease. Again, you can get pretty close and use your knife on them, or you can use a tackle on them, takedown, or if you've got your suppressor gun like me, you can just shoot them. If you are going for your achievement, I would probably recommend using the knives on them. Once you're past those guys, come forward, you'll see eventually this weird looking tree. Use that as a point of reference, and there's a bush here just slightly behind it. Now we will need to go to the right over here. So the best way to sort of think of it is there's 3 paths. We need to go down the middle one. We were on the left one, we've now moved to the middle one, which was just right to that bush. I would recommend creeping through this, and then when you get to the very end, because there's enemies on both the left and the right path, once we get to here we need to run and get straight into this archway building over here. Inside this building there is 3 enemies. The first one is just straight ahead and he walks to the right through the doorway, so either get your knife or gun ready and kill him. The next one's going to walk through the door just ahead of you there, the archway. And the final enemy is just outside the doorway on the left. Watch out for your teammate because he does like to run in the way, as you can see there. And then just finish off that last guy. And once you've killed him, that is pretty much this area complete. You will need to walk down the hill here, and just after this point you should get your achievement just there. Okay, so now we are going to be moving on to the next area. Now I thought this part was actually going to be really difficult, but either I got super lucky and the game was a bit glitchy, or I kind of figured out a way to do it without the enemy sort of attacking you. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. So you get to this little tunnel under the bridge of where the tanks and enemy are going over, and you need to make your way through that little crevice. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit, so please do pause the video until you have caught up. But basically you've got to make your way through this little canyon and then into this tent. Inside this tent you will get a checkpoint and a new objective. I would recommend picking up grenades and ammunition from the table and then clicking on this map, which will then trigger the next part of the mission. So when this cutscene is finished, we are going to sort of follow a simple sort of step, and hopefully it works out exactly for you as it did for me. As I mentioned, I'm not sure if I found a glitch or the game is just glitching on me, but it worked out really easily, and you'll see why in just a moment. So just follow exactly what I do. So once these guys leave, what we're going to do is we're going to creep outside. Don't forget to pick up any ammo and stuff if you haven't already, but head outside and creep just past this box to the left, and we're going to wait for this guy here just below us to walk towards us. Do not shoot, just wait and be patient, and then follow him down. Just creep down behind him, and then when you get into here with the suppressed gun you can shoot him, and then just shoot the guy ahead. Make sure he's finished, and then we're going to get on this turret to our right. Now if it's worked right, the glitch, I'm assuming it's a glitch because there's no reason why they should do this, all the enemies will actually concentrate on your 2 friends to your right, and none of them will actually shoot at you for some strange reason. I don't know why that is, but that's the way it worked out for me. Fingers crossed that's the way it works out for you as well. But yeah, just sit on the turret and just pick off the enemies in the distance. So you got quite a few to your left, and there's a few over by the bunker behind the sandbags and stuff over towards that tower, and then there's some over to the right near this bunker, usually behind the barrels and stuff in the distance. So we're just gonna sort of take our time around this area and just pick off as many enemies as we can from the distance. This gun can be a little bit annoying because of the sort of rate of fire. It allows you to shoot a few times, then it sort of cuts out. I'm assuming that's due to sort of heat. Just trying to give it a bit of a realistic sort of feel to it. But anyway, once we're confident that we've killed enough enemies for us to continue, we're going to make our way to our left and we're going to destroy these tanks. The way to do that is, same as before, when we killed that other tank, we will need to chuck grenades and stuff in the top. So just try and throw a grenade in top of the hole there. And do that for each of them. Now this part can be a little bit annoying. You think you've destroyed one, but it wasn't destroyed enough. All three tanks are pretty much right next to each other, just here on the left. So that's one. The other one's here. So that's three in total, but the first one I didn't quite destroy correctly, so I'm going to have to go back over there and destroy that again. If you need some more explosives, there's some by the middle tank. Press the 2 square button, the select button on your controller if you want to see your objective. Again, all you need to do is chuck an explosive inside the hatch of the tank. Once we've destroyed all three, we're going to push to the first bunker to our left, which is this one over here. Oh yeah, in fact, a vehicle does appear from the left hand side, so we need to kill the enemies that come up that path, or that drive, or that road. Again, there's no need to rush. You can come back over here and get back on the turret if you wish, and use this to kill any enemies. So when that other vehicle arrived, I think these enemies came running down from the other side towards the other bunker, and some of the enemies made their way back up to the top of the bunker there. So instead of trying to take them face on, you can come back over to the turret and just use this to kill them from a distance if you like. If you're more confident that you can pick them off from where you were, just by all means just do that. But this is the way I did it, so if you do struggle, just come back and do it the way I did it and you should be absolutely fine. Once we picked off a few more enemies and we're confident that we can succeed moving forward, again we're going to make our way around to the left and we're going to make our way over to this bunker. There is a couple of enemies still up here, so just keep that in mind when you're moving forward. And yeah, just in this corner here there's a couple of guys hiding behind the sandbags. I'm going to take those guys out. One rushes me, nearly kills me in fact, because I don't need to reload. But yeah, once we have killed that guy, we're going to go into the bunker, which is the second door on the left. So this door here on our left. Careful, because there is a guy watching the door from inside. What I did is chuck a couple of grenades in, and then once those go off, just rush in. Make sure they've gone off before you go in. Go in, and then don't forget to check your corners for the enemy. This guy's right behind the doorway, nearly does me. And there's another guy down to the right as well. I think there might be two guys actually down to the right. So if you've got any grenades, just launch a couple in there. If not, just make sure you're peeking your corners. If you take any damage, pop back out, pop back into cover, and make sure you heal up. Yeah, I think there's two more enemies in here. Once we've killed those guys, we are going to go further inside. Don't forget to keep checking this corner, just in case you get rushed. There you go, there's still one more guy. Once we get inside, replenish your explosives. I try to get clever, I think, and try to reload on the way out. But basically, open the gate there and chuck an explosive inside, and then run out. Be careful if you are going to pick up explosives on the way, because the timer is quite short, and you don't want to be inside the bunker when it goes off, or you potentially die. Once we killed that bunker and we've blown that bunker up, there will be enemies outside as we emerge. So do keep that in mind. And just stay by this sort of sandbags area here and just slowly pick the enemies off. Once you're confident that you've got the most of them, push forward towards this next bunker. And again, second door on the left, or is it the first door on the left? This door anyway, with the light near it. We are going to go inside. Now pick up these grenades on the right hand side before we go in. And once we're inside, we're going to go to the door to the left, which is the sort of second door. And we're going to chuck a grenade to our right into this room. Don't go too far in, and be careful that they don't chuck a grenade at you. We're going to make sure, we're going to have a quick peek around, see if everybody's dead. If not, we're going to chuck another grenade in. Again, if you don't have any grenades for any reason, just peek the corner and shoot them. You will get rushed by a guy with a bayonet down this next corridor, so please do keep that in mind. As you walk forward, he will rush from around this left corner and try and knife you with the bayonet. So kill that guy and then continue to push forward, collecting any ammo as you go, obviously. Open this door, and just inside we have another locked ammunitions dump. So open the gate inside and then chuck one of the explosives. I think it has to be the dynamite, the satchel charge, so do that and then run out as quick as you can. Keep in mind there's going to be enemies outside again. So as soon as you get outside, get behind the crate where the grenades were and use that as cover. The enemies are, or should just be, in front of you. So kill those guys and then push up forward. You should hit a checkpoint. It will tell you to come over this way, so do follow your team. Some ammo there next to that little box. I would recommend picking that up. So they will have a little bit of a conversation here, and you will need to prepare for the next part, and that is the enemy plane will come and attack you. So get ready for that. We're going to rush directly this way, all the way back to the bunker with the machine gun inside, and we're going to use the machine gun to shoot down the plane. There is an achievement for shooting this plane down with a pistol, a rocket, or a grenade. I would recommend getting that on an easier difficulty. Don't try and get on this. I mean, you can if you want to, but if you're just trying to get this achievement, I would recommend using the LMG and just waste it every time it drives past, or should I say flies past. So yeah, just sort of wait for him to sort of fly about. Eventually, some of the enemies will rock up in these little trucks and stuff. So just sort of shoot at them as they leave the trucks. Because you're in an advantage position, you should be absolutely fine to just waste these guys. Your team will do a lot of the work as well. They will suppress them and stuff. But yeah, just take your time, shoot these guys as they leave the truck. Again, for some reason, they don't really attempt to shoot at you. And I have no idea why. I think this part should have been really difficult if it actually worked correctly. But for me, like I mentioned, and hopefully for you, they sort of leave you alone. But anyway, if you want to know where the plane is, just press the 2 square button, your select button, and that will bring him up via the shield above his head. As he flies over and towards you, just keep shooting him with the LMG, and eventually he will die. Again, keep in mind that enemy teams will rock up every now and again in little vehicles and stuff. The best time to shoot the airplane is when he flies directly towards you, like he is now on my screen. He literally flies right at you. Be careful, he can kill you, even inside the bunker, even inside the nest. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, guys, because I basically told you all you need to know to defeat him. There's no extra sort of information I can tell you. There's no point in you watching me do it. If you want to pause the video, that's absolutely fine. So the next level will start after the plane crash. What we need to do is rush behind this second tank, the one on the left, and we're going to use that as cover. Most of the enemies are at about a 1 o'clock position, which is sort of behind this burning tank up ahead. So just sort of look in and around that area, and most of, like I said, the enemy are that way. I would recommend using the Car 98. I think it's a Car 98 anyway. Use this just to pick off the enemies from a distance. Sort of aim towards the neck, sort of upper chest area. Head would be better, but depending on how good you are with the rifle itself. And you will pretty much wipe out these enemies pretty easily with still being in cover. So yeah, just try and pick them off really. We're just going to do this for a little while. Again, most enemies are in that same direction. Careful not to stand out in the open for too long, because the enemy will take advantage of that and they will waste you. But once you feel like you've killed enough of them and there's only maybe 1 or 2 left just ahead of you, we are actually going to push to their cover, which is that truck on our right. But again, don't do that too early. Make sure that you have taken quite a few of these guys out first of all. Then when we're confident, as I mentioned, we're going to push up to this truck here on the right hand side, and we're going to use this as cover. Now, if you need grenades, please do feel free to pick them up at the back there. But yeah, once we're in this position, we are going to use this as our vantage point. And again, still using the rifle, we're just going to take out as many enemies from this point as we can. Always remember, guys, if you do take damage, to lie down and get healed before popping back up. I think there's actually an enemy behind this truck, right next to us actually. Maybe not. This guy right there, though. So yeah. Oh, there's a guy. So right, not far anyway. So yeah, just make your way up through the rocks. Don't forget to use them as cover if you need to, and then eventually enemies still will start coming from the left sort of hand side. Say 10 o'clock if we're looking at a clock, and they will all start coming in from that position. I would try and recommend shooting the heads of the machine gunners located at the top of the half tracks. The quicker you take them out, the easier your life will be. But be careful, obviously, when you're out in the open trying to snipe at them, you will sort of be vulnerable, so keep that in mind. Once you've taken out the 2 half tracks and most of the enemies, start pushing the way you were already going, and eventually some enemies will spawn on the hilltop above you. Take those out. Again, I would highly recommend using the rifle, but it's up to you. Once you've cleared out those 4 or 5 enemies, we're going to push down the hill towards this tank. You can get an achievement for getting run over by a tank on this level if you wish. There's an easier place to do it though than that. So it's up to you. If you want to try and get it there, that's fine. If not, and you still want the achievement, I'll show you where in just a moment where you can get that from. So anyway, just as we come up this little ledge that we climb up, on the right hand side there's a few enemies on the other side to our right. Use the corner and creep around to take out the 2 that are looking down at you, and then in a moment one appears to your left just above on the top there. And there's also one on the same level as you just behind the rock as well, so do keep him in mind as well. There he is, see? And just as you come around this corner, you will be opening yourself up to quite a few more enemies which are located in and around this broken plane. What I'd recommend is hanging around this rock for a little while. Keep your eye out for grenades coming in, don't forget to throw them back if they do. And just keep popping up really and taking out any enemies that you can see within your visual range. Again, the places that they come from are behind the plane there and up the ledge to the right. Once we get a chance, we're going to push around and we're going to start heading left. You might want to be a bit slower than me. I was probably a little bit too hasty. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But we are going to go around to the left. Now when we get around the left, there's actually 2 enemies up on the ledge above us. So the higher ledge, not the same. So as you'll see as we come around, there's one there, sorry. And then the other 2 are actually above where the plane is. So do keep that in mind as you come around that corner. There's 3 enemies, 1 to the left and 2 up top. And just as we get around this corner, we can actually see most of the enemies right next to us, which are the ones that we've actually come to kill. So just start wasting them, just like so. Now this next part is pretty difficult, but as long as you sort of take your time and follow along with me, I think you'll get it pretty easily. Right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to use this block here that we're supposed to climb up as cover, and we're going to try and take out as many enemies as possible. You can chuck a couple of grenades over it if you like. So yeah, just take your time guys, no rush at all. Like I mentioned, it can be a little bit difficult. As long as you use this sort of point as a vantage point and just sort of hold out here, eventually it will all sort of come together for you, and then you can move forward from here. So yeah, just slowly take out as many enemies as possible, and then when you're confident that you've done a good job, climb up, and if you see any enemies, just drop back down and kill them, and then jump and climb up again, whatever you need to do just to see the enemy. Just be careful not to stay up there for too long, because it will get you killed. Yeah, as you can see there, I climbed up just to have a quick look and saw exactly where the enemy are. You can use that to see where the mortars are as well. Eventually, when you're confident that you killed most of the enemies, you can make your way up, start making your way up, and sort of make your way through here. Make sure all the men that were doing the mortars are dead. Pick up a few extra grenades here and there, maybe a little bit of ammo, and then come down towards this mortar. Make sure they're all dead, and then we're going to leave to the next area. Now this next area can get a little bit difficult, a little bit tricky, as I like to say. So yeah, just wait for this sort of go through. Don't forget guys, just while this is happening, don't forget to go and like our videos. Don't forget to subscribe, helps us out. Thank you very much. Anyway, so you get to this part where you'll have to go down and help your tank squadron. We're not going to stay up here. I'm just trying to mill luck there at a nice clean shot, but it didn't happen. Anyway, make your way down this sort of hill to your right here, and just keep following it round all the way to the bottom. Just keep following you guys down here. This is where you can get dead by a tank. As you cross this path here, one of the tanks on the right hand side, the second tank will squash you if you don't stop. But if you want to get the achievement, just walk straight in front of that tank there, and you will get the achievement. Anyway, the checkpoint's not far back, so you can do that if you want to. If you don't want to, you've already got the achievement, don't worry about it. Just push through here and keep moving forward. When you made your way through this trench, it will sort of trigger a scene where you will have to start pushing forward. What we need to do is use this tank directly in front of us here as cover as we push up. If you need to, pick up some more grenades and maybe change your weapon. It's absolutely up to you what you use here. Push up to the back of the tank and sort of peek over the right hand side and kill the enemies at a 1 o'clock sort of direction. And just keep sort of moving up with the tank. Make sure that you don't let the tank get away from you, otherwise you will be shot from the left and the right hand side. Make sure you are taking out the enemies and your shots are connecting, otherwise you do leave yourself quite vulnerable. Eventually this tank will come to a stop, and when it does, we need to run around the tank that's on fire to our right. So just wait for it to stop here, then run around to the right over here, get behind this tank, and then push up to the cover on the right. Once we've killed the enemy behind the turret there, push up behind these rocks and make sure that we kill anyone else that's down here. Once we're confident that no one's just up ahead, we are going to make our way over here, and then we're going to make our way down into the trench down here and start clearing this out. Now I would recommend using a combination of both grenades, stun grenades, and your gun here. Take your time and make sure that you are trying to kill the enemies at a distance. Try not to let them get on top of you, because otherwise that will be the part where you're most likely to die. So like parts like this, just peek around quickly and jump back into cover if you do see anybody. Otherwise they'll probably waste you within a couple of seconds. Watch out for enemies on the top as well. A couple do come to the right here where the tank's going over, so do keep them in mind as well. And if you need any ammo or want to change your weapon, it might be worth doing it in this little area here. Again, watch out for grenades and stuff, they will throw them in. When you're ready, just push forward again. And again, a couple of enemies at the top there to keep in mind. The checkpoint isn't that far back for this point, so don't be too worried if you do die. I imagine that a lot of people, or a few people, will die in this area, just because the enemies shoot you from down that narrow corridor, and it's quite difficult to sort of make them out at some point. I've got a 55-inch TV, and I was still struggling to see them. So, yeah. Take your time, check your corners, make sure you're not going to run out of ammo and die because of that, and just sort of take your time. I did get rushed in a moment by a couple of guys. But yeah, here he is, look. And there I am, dead. Just wanted to keep that in there, just show you that you can die pretty easily here if you do sort of let your guard down. But yeah, I'm going to speed it up back to that point. But yeah, just take your time as you go through this sort of tunnel. The best advice I could probably give you for this area, this sort of trench, is just take your time. Don't forget to check your corners. If you are going to run out of ammo, make sure you move back away from where the enemy are, just to give you a chance to either reload or pick up a weapon, because the enemy do often rush around those corners and can and will take you out. And don't forget about the enemies that are up on the sort of ledges to your left and right as you move through. And eventually you should be able to get through pretty easily. I think I did on my 3rd attempt. Imagine most of you will probably do on your first. It's that simple. Once we get to the end here, a tank starts driving towards you and loads of sort of action starts to happen. Get and run behind your tank over here and start walking up with it. Eventually they will stop, and what we're going to do is you can shoot the enemies to your left, but keep following it. It'll start moving again, and then eventually on your right hand side there'll be a little bit of a trench. We're going to jump in that trench here, and that'll be the end of this part of the mission. Okay guys, so once we've trigger the next mission area after the cutscene and stuff. We're going to follow this guy over here and follow him up through this sort of narrow passage. So yeah, just follow him up here. Now this part can be a little bit tricky. Using your pistol, you're going to have to take out quite a few enemies around here. First one is usually between these two pillars just up ahead. Sort of between the two palm trees as well, right in the middle. You see him about halfway up between the two palm trees. But the most important one is actually the two turrets, and those are the ones that we're going to be very careful with. You can actually see the first turret from here, just before you go around the corner. You've got to be very careful, but you can actually pull it off where you can kill the guy on the turret without having to actually go around into his line of fire. So I would highly recommend killing the guy on the turret and then walking around again behind this rock as quick as you can. Now there is another turret just a bit further up on the left hand side, but just as before, we can actually get it without it really being able to get us. Keep an eye out for grenades. I do like to shut them behind the rock down here. But once you've healed yourself, try and line up the turret. It's just to the right of this palm tree here. If you're behind the rock, it's just slightly to the right of the palm tree. If you line up the shot properly, you will be able to kill the turret. And those are the worst two sort of enemies in this area, because they will do the most damage to you and wipe you out pretty quickly. Once you kill both of them, just start moving up on the right hand side, using these buildings and stuff as cover. Carefully don't get caught out like I nearly did there with not having any ammo in my gun. So yeah, make your way around to the right. There is a couple of guys around here, so slowly make your way around and kill them. Des, whatever his name is, he's going to make his way up the middle while you make your way up to the right. I would recommend picking up that shotgun there, but it's completely up to you which weapons you're most comfortable with around here. I actually pick up the SMG actually straight away after, or that might be an AR. Kill a couple of guys that are through here. There's about 3 or 4 guys just sort of through that area. And then just as you go around this corner, there's going to be another group of enemies. I would recommend picking up the guns that you're most comfortable with around here. I take this sort of barreled SMG, and I also take the scoped sniper rifle, but whatever you're most comfortable with, the sniper rifle will come in handy around this area. When you get to these stairs, just sort of start peeking around and then moving slowly from the right to the left, and just taking out any enemies that you see via their heads. If any of them start coming towards you, just dip back around the corner and then use your AR or SMG to finish them off. There's about 4 or 5 just in this small area, so do keep that in mind. As I mentioned, move from right to left with your sight, and eventually you would have cleared them all out. Don't forget to pick up any ammo as you go on. And then once you get to the top of here, just keep following it forward over this little sort of bridge area and follow Des around here. Go to the, I think you have to go to the left here. Oh yeah, up the stairs here, and then to the left. This part can be a little bit difficult here. I think a guy rushes you just as you get towards the end, I think. Yes, he does. There he is. So he rushes you, and then to your right there is usually a couple of enemies. Now what I'd recommend doing here is getting your sniper rifle out and aiming down the far end there. There is a guy who sort of peeks every now and again, so I would recommend taking him out. And then just on our right hand side here there is a pillar. See it there, we're just looking at it there on the screen. We've gone a bit to the right of it. That pillar is going to be our best friend in just a second. There's a guy behind this little wooden desk over here, and once we kill him we are able to move over to this pillar and use that as our next line of cover. Look to the right of it and just sort of use it to sort of shoot backwards and forwards. If you do get any grenades at your feet, be careful that you don't let them sort of slip away. If they do, run away as quick as you can. But again, use this pillar as cover from our left so we don't get shot from our left. And once we're confident that we killed the enemies to the right over here, we are going to sort of start pushing up. And be careful, because there is usually a guy in the sort of above area just there next to that green box, and then there's one over here with a rocket, so be sure to kill him too. Again, if you struggle to keep up in this area, please just pause the video and sort of watch the video in its entirety up to after this part, and then you play it afterwards. That way you'll know where everybody is, and if you struggle, just rewind the video a couple of times so you know where everybody is. There's a guy over here on the left hand side. He is probably one of the more sneakier ones because he is quite difficult to see. Now when we get to this tunnel in a second, we have to go through a little climbing spot. There's some ammo up here, And there's also some ammo just behind us over here near this dead guy. So pick that up. And on this next part, what we need to do is rush. You have to be quite quick here or you will die. As soon as you jump underneath here, we need to drop down behind the green box to our right here and use that as cover as quickly as possible. If you stand up top, you will die. So what I would recommend here is dropping down behind this green box, chucking a couple of grenades out, pop up every couple of seconds, shoot whoever's there. If you do take a couple of rounds, quickly jump back into cover, and eventually you will clear it out. That will probably take you a couple of attempts. But once you've done that, we will need to go down here towards Des, and that will trigger the next little cutscene in which we fire the flare and warn our team. You can have a quick look around for ammo and stuff. So go over to Des, help him to pick up the machine gun over here, the LMG. Yeah, that'll Des pick that up. He will fire the flare, and that will begin the sort of survival mode area. So you will have to survive here for a little while. I found it really, well, quite simple. Hopefully you guys don't struggle either. But yeah, have a little bit of a drink and a little bit of a celebration, but then get ready for the horde mode. So yeah, Des is there. What you need to do is come over to this little gap over here and use that to start shooting enemies. Use this gap for most of this sort of turn. It's the best sort of cover you can get while still being able to shoot yourself. Just sort of move left and right while you're shooting and try to kill as many enemies that are over here in the distance. Eventually Des will warn you that the enemies are coming to your right. At that point you may want to come around the side of this box, but do keep in mind that if you come out too far from the side of the box, you will be leaving yourself very vulnerable. When you run out of ammo, you can switch to your sniper rifle, or you can pick up the LMG that's on the table there. It's completely up to you which weapon you're comfortable with, and just sort of carry on shooting these enemies on the right hand side here. Again, it can be a little bit difficult just because the amount of enemies that are there, and they have ridiculously good accuracy, so do keep that in mind. So yeah, I'm going to switch to the LMG here, switch it from my SMG there, and we're just going to use that to start piling into any enemies that get close enough to this truck, and any enemies that are a little bit further up the hill there as well. Again, we are concentrating on the enemies on the right hand side here because Des will actually concentrate on the ones on the left hand side for now, so we don't have to worry about those. Careful if you are reloading, get behind cover if there's any enemies close by. Des will try to help as well if any enemies do get a little bit too close. This gun does have a lot of ammo, so it is definitely worth picking up at some point. And again, eventually Des will tell you the enemies are coming in from another direction, so just listen out for his prompts. If for any reason he doesn't prompt you and there's no enemies coming from the right hand side, I would just recommend having a little bit of a look around with your sniper rifle down the middle there, and eventually the next sort of checkpoint will go on. When the light half tracks come in, I would recommend switching to this sort of grenade launcher which is on the table behind you and using that to destroy the half tracks. Keeping in mind that they do literally waste you in a couple of rounds if you allow them to shoot you, as you saw there. So you just line up your shots, try to get rid of those half tracks as quickly as possible using this grenade launcher. Again, you're best trying to get the grenades in and on top of them rather than directly at them, because that's where their armor is. So just try to get one on top of it, and hopefully that should destroy it. As you see there, I did struggle a couple of times. I did get myself killed. Hopefully you're not doing the same and you're actually doing alright. It's more about patience than anything else though, so I decided to switch back to and keep my LMG, but you can use the grenade launcher or your LMG, whatever you're more comfortable with. Just stick with that and just kill out all these enemies. Again, at this point, most of the enemies will continue to come from the right hand side, but again, listen for the prompts from Des, because he will tell you if the enemies are coming in from the other angles. It's going to take you a little while to get through this part of the game. It's probably one of the more difficult parts of the game, but as long as you're patient and you're just using cover as you should, I think you should be able to do this with relative ease. Again, don't forget to use this window every now and again to sort of shoot at the enemy. You can use also the sniper rifle to shoot the guy off the top of the half track if you want, if you're not having much luck with the grenade launcher like me. However, the first time I played this, I used a grenade launcher and I did it absolutely fine, did it first go. Second time I came to play it, couldn't hit anything with the grenade launcher, so I had to shoot with the LMG and the sniper rifle like you saw in this playthrough. So anyway, eventually we'll get to a point where the enemies start coming up on foot with tanks. When that's happening, you know that you've pretty much completed this area. Careful not to get too much out in the open for the tanks to see you. Stay around this area, same place. We don't need to move this entire time as long as we're around here and just pretty much kill any enemies that get close. The one thing I would mention is just to the right there, enemies sometimes do go on the higher ledge that's up above the road. You saw at the beginning I did kill one person up there. On my first playthrough, about 3 or 4 enemies actually went up there, not just one. So do keep that in mind. They can get up there on that ledge. But yeah, Desert told me that they're coming on to the left and stuff, so do keep an eye on the left hand side if he tells you that. And eventually the airstrike will come in and kill those tanks, and that will be that for that level. I am going to skip ahead of you guys, so if you do need to pause the video until you catch up, please do so. But that's it for that level. And finally guys, we are now on the final level, which is the Fourth Reich. Now, straight at the beginning, you'll be in a dark tunnel and you'll be following your team, and you'll come to see the enemy Nazi boss escaping it in his little van. Now, this gun that it starts you with is alright. However, when we're in the moving vehicle, it makes it a nightmare to actually be able to shoot the vehicle in front, which will end up us getting killed. So pick up the MP40 off the floor off one of the dead guys, and you'll notice it does actually have a really good sight on it. It's like a red dot sight, and it's so much easier to see enemies while you're in the moving vehicle, and I found this one a lot better. As soon as I switched to this one, I was able to do this next part without dying. Before that, it took me about 4 or 5 times dying over and over again to realize that that gun was trash. So make sure you got the one with the red dot sight on, and in a moment the car ahead of us will start shooting at us. Look down your sight and shoot back using the red dot. I say red dot, it's not really a red dot, but you know what I mean, it's a holographic. But use that and shoot the enemy ahead of you, and make sure you're shooting the enemy in the back of the heads there, and you will then be able to continue. If you use the original gun that you have, you'll probably miss most of your shots and they will kill you before you get to this point. Hopefully you got to this point. If not, please do pause the video or rewind it back and just watch what I did there. Once you hit this checkpoint, please move over to the left hand side and pick up this ammo over near the steps. Once you pick up that ammo, we need to go into this building here. Be careful the people leaving, they can sort of restrict you from entering. But come through this little tunnel. Please pause the video and watch back if you didn't see where I went there. And just use this door as sort of a point of shooting from. And what we're going to do is we're going to shoot any guys that are down between the 2 trains, which is down here by this box and this pillar. Kill any or shoot any enemies that are down there. They will pop up every now and again. And once you've managed to take them out, we're going to concentrate on this team on the right hand side here, which is on a big sort of AA gun. Shoot those guys. And once you're confident that you've killed most, push a little bit forward, and we're going to concentrate on the team on the left now. So there's another target on the left. We're going to start concentrating on them. Carefully don't leave anybody behind. I nearly did there, but luckily my auto aim sort of locked towards him. And this is the guy we're going to finish just right here. I do chuck a grenade next to him, but as long as you peek out at the right time, you should be fine to kill him any way you like. Keep pushing forward. You can cut through the train like me if you want. It's not necessary. Just go around to the right, and then we're going to push up these tracks. So just keep coming straight up here. A couple of families will move towards you, and there's plenty of enemies to your left, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to push to our right. So grab some ammo here, and then we're going to go. You can shoot a few guys here and then move to the right up this way. get up by this train over here, and we're going to use this to shoot enemies from. So climb through and then move over to the right, and we're going to get down behind these boxes here. Just have a quick look to your left, make sure that all those enemies down there are dead, and then start looking forward the direction where we were going and killing any enemies that are just up ahead behind these boxes and stuff. Be careful of grenades here. You do seem to get a lot of grenades coming in. You can chuck a couple of grenades out yourself if you like, but it's entirely up to you. Just take your time and make sure you are using the cover wisely. There was some grenades to my left there. I didn't pick them up, but you guys can pick them up if you feel necessary. Eventually you will reach a checkpoint. Here's a couple of enemies to the left. We are about to fight another Jaeger here, so do keep that in mind. What I would recommend is, if you want the achievement on this part, walk forward, and when the smoke appears and the white target appears, don't forget to press up on your D-pad, and that way you should get the achievement for the Jaeger, for using your team to fight the Jaeger. So move forward towards this train, the smoke will appear, then we're going to push back like we did in previous levels, and we're just going to shoot him from a distance. Don't let him get too close, because his accuracy is absolutely disgusting, and he will waste you in just a couple of rounds. I actually do let him get a little bit too close, I think, from what I remember. Yes, he rushes me, comes around the corner and kills me. So don't make that mistake. I'll leave that in there just so you can see that if you let him get close to you, he will absolutely annihilate you. So try that again. We'll push forward until the smoke happens. Again, if you want the achievement, don't forget to press up on the D-pad when the target appears above his head, like there. That will get you the achievement once you kill him. And just start wasting into him. This time, I do get a bit lucky because he seems to want to stay on that side rather than push me, which is good for me. If he does start moving towards you, just move backwards to the next sort of set of cover, and just keep an eye out for that target above his head, and whenever you see that, just start shooting towards him. Don't be scared to chuck out a couple of grenades, and eventually you will waste him. The checkpoint is just behind, so don't worry too much about that. Once you killed him, cut across the train tracks and head up the stairs on the right hand side. When you get to the top, keep going forward over here on the right hand side, and then follow it round to the right. There is a little bit of a tunnel around here, follow it towards the flames, and then take the steps just up ahead, and you will have to do an animation where you need to pick up the sort of machine that's fallen over here, the turnstile. So click on that and your team will come down and help you, and then you will need to climb under. This next part is probably going to be one of the most tricky parts you've probably played in the entire game. Just because of the enemy accuracy, it can be very annoying. So eventually we do emerge from the sewers, and we're out in this sort of battlefield area. We need to go and collect these grenades and ammo down here by the bus stop. So do pick those up, and then we're going to start heading around the area to the right. A guy does go and sit down right in front of you for some strange reason, and a couple of enemies will be on your left hand side running towards the right hand side. We're going to make our way behind this car over here, and we're going to try and take out as many enemies in the distance as we can, and then we're going to move up to this sort of truck, and then we're going to move over behind these two horse statues, grab any ammo if you need it, and then get behind this tin here, this tin wall, chuck a few fruit grenades out, and then pop up and shoot any enemies. They do all run from left to right, so as long as you leave them, they won't all start shooting you too early. Once they've moved over, move to this car here and use the front of it as cover, and just start attacking the enemies in the distance. Again, you can use your gun to kill the guy on the turret over there in the distance, as long as you sort of wait for your shot and make sure you're shooting quite straight and accurate, and you'll be able to take him out quite easily. And just stay here just for a little while behind the front of this car here, and we're just going to use this as cover for as long as we can, or should I say as long as we need to, and just shoot the enemies over in the distance there until we're confident that we have got the main majority of them. You will or you may struggle in this area again, because some of the enemies do stay to your left sometimes. It can be a bit random, so it may take you 2 or 3 times to sort of get to this point where you're confident that most of the enemies are then in front of you rather than behind you. Again, I'm just staying at the front of this car for now, picking my shots and trying to kill as many enemies over there in the distance. There's some ammo just the other side of the front of this car, so just around the corner there. Please do pick that up before you push forward, because you're probably going to need it anyway. Again, I'm just taking my time. There's no major rush here. Just pick your enemies, and then I switch back to my SMG. The SMG is actually more accurate and better gun anyway, because it has the sight on it. But you can use whichever of those two you're more happy with. Climb over the wall over here and move over to the right as quick as you can and get behind this second car. Pick up the ammo there as well if you need it. And we're going to use this car for a little while to pick off the enemies over in the distance behind these trees over here. Your team will actually do most of the work here, believe it or not. Be careful, nobody flanks you from the left. But generally, they do come from the same direction you were moving in the first place. So just use this corner and this sort of box here to cover you. And then when you're confident there's no enemies coming, just push to the next one and kill the few enemies over by this sort of wall over here. And then when there's only one or two left, you are okay probably to rush and kill the remaining one or two. Just like so. Once you've killed them, all you need to do is run straight forward here towards this wall, and that will actually trigger the next part of this mission. You'll actually be coming in a bit of an explosion there, and then you will actually be switched to the next character for the next part of this mission. So there will be a bit of a dialogue between your main characters, and then it will switch you to your new character, which you will need to do the next part of the mission with, which is Paulina, the sniper. Just like so, you become Paulina. Now, this next part, it can be I really did it easily, and I'm hoping that you guys do as well. But I imagine some of you may struggle a little bit, especially in the next part. Just straight run through here. I do pick up the PPSH that's on the floor just before the tunnel there. If you spot that, please pick it up as well. Rockets and stuff will fire at you, but I just run literally straight through all this and come up to the top here and climb this wall at the back here and go into this room. Make your way to the back, crouch underneath that ledge there and make your way around to the left, far on to the left, and then the doorway on your right will be filled with enemies. What I did here is just start wasting them all. They sort of grouped towards the middle, chucked in a couple of grenades, and then reloaded. Had another quick look around, a couple more were still there. I went round to the right here, and if you go around to the right there's another door just here. Go through this door and creep under the desks over here. And any enemies that are left around here, just use your gun and kill them. Don't be afraid to pick up any guns off the floor or any ammo. If anybody rushes, just beat them. But I literally killed all those guys that easy. Hopefully you don't struggle there. I can't imagine it being quite difficult there just because like 6 or 7 enemies all in one place. But yeah, hopefully you don't struggle at all. After those are dead, use your sniper rifle out the window. There's an ammo box just to the right of where I'm stood right now, so please do feel free to pick up any ammo if you need it. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to try and take out the enemy down here. If you want to know exactly which ones you're supposed to be shooting, press the 2 square button on your controller, and that will show you the enemies that are most important. However, what I would recommend doing is just killing as many of them as possible. Eventually snipers do come in the windows opposite, exactly where I'm looking now, but up a little bit in that building over there. Keep that in mind, because obviously if you get hit by a sniper one round, it usually kills you outright. So just keep shooting the guys over here. The tanks are down there and stuff. We need to kill the tanks eventually, but just not yet. And hopefully you're pretty decent at sniping. What I would recommend if you're not very good at sniping is just waiting for them to stop. Don't try and shoot any moving targets if you're not very good at sniping. And literally just kill as many of these enemies as you can from this sort of gap in the wall here. You can move around to the windows on your right hand side if you feel it's necessary. It's absolutely up to you. And again, you can use the SMG and stuff. And when you run out of ammo for your sniper rifle, again, there's some over here on this table. I believe the snipers have arrived actually. So they are on the opposite windows over here, which is directly opposite the direct opposite building that we're in. Eventually you will see their glare as they sort of look towards you. There's one on the top floor and one on the middle floor there. And as you can see, he does jump between the two buildings and stuff. And eventually he will stop. Once it gets to this part, there will be 3 big guys with flamethrowers that push towards your team, which are down on the left here. What we're going to do is we're going to shoot these barrels on the back of them, and that will kill them. So shoot the barrels on their backs. I would recommend starting with the one furthest away first, and then the one closest to you, and then the one in the middle. As I mentioned, just keep shooting the barrels in their backs, and eventually the one in the middle, I'm not sure if it's the same one, you aim at his back and the bullet will fly down like this and create a cutscene, which will be the next part of your mission. Now, this part can be a little bit difficult. I died here about 4 or 5 times, but as long as you follow on me, you should be absolutely fine. So right at the beginning, we're going to move slightly left into this little dip here, and I actually get killed, and it spawns me pretty much back where I started. So hopefully you can figure out where I am from this point. So right next to this guy on the wall here, we're going to stand next to this sort of barrel looking thing, and we're going to throw a grenade in the tank on the left hand side, straight down into the top of the tank there. Hopefully you got grenades. Once we kill that tank, we are actually going to move to the left even more so, and through these few arches over here, and follow it round to the left. Keep going, just keep going here. And just over here near this wall, there is actually a rocket launcher, so you need to pick up some grenades, kill a few enemies if there are any there, and just to the left of the box there you'll see there is a rocket launcher, and we're actually going to use this rocket launcher to kill the 2 remaining tanks. So do switch to the rocket launcher when you get an opportunity to. Aimed on the side there and fire at a tank. For me, it only took 1 rocket per tank. If for any reason it takes more than that for you, you will probably need to try and get a grenade in the top there. So you may want to restart the checkpoint, so you can use the rockets, or you can try and be clever and use the grenades. But anyway, once you've used the rocket on both the tanks, you will actually be able to move forward. It will tell you on your screen that you've killed all 3, and then all you need to do on this part is to push forward and chuck a grenade in the main building over here. Aim straight for the main door, and that will trigger a cutscene with the grenade going inside the building and the Nazis running for their dear lives, and then it will trigger an explosion, and you will switch to the next character where you're able to go in to the next part of the mission. So just head straight into the main building through the main door. This part's going to be a little bit difficult, but as long as you follow on, I think you'll be absolutely fine. As soon as you're in the building, push over to the right hand side and kill the enemies that are trying to run up the stairs. You need to do this pretty quickly, and once you kill a couple of enemies, we're going to rush up the stairs, and there's a guy behind a couple of these pillars. One rushes from there and the other one's just behind this first pillar. Once you kill him, just keep using these individual pillars as cover as you move down, then run down the next set of stairs and get around the second pillar and kill the enemy that's hiding behind there, and just keep moving up pillar to pillar to pillar, and eventually you'll get behind this sort of final pillar where there's a green box to your right. And what you can do here is just try and kill as many towards the main doors as you can from this point of view, and then move down to this green box here on the floor. I think it's green, it looks green on my screen anyway. You can use your special ability by pressing up on your D-pad. Be careful that there is no remaining enemies behind you, like on my screen there. I did leave a couple behind, so be careful not to do that. It might be worth waiting behind that pillar a little bit longer and killing any enemies that were to your left, where I got a little bit impatient. Anyway, eventually you will be able to sort of push round towards the main doors and kill any enemies that are behind these boxes. I nearly missed one here and he was right next to me and nearly killed me, so do keep that in mind. But eventually you will be able to come down here. If you do take any damage, don't forget to take some cover. Again, this part of the level might be a little bit tricky, but as long as you push down on the right hand side all the way through that sort of hall, I think you'll be fine. It may take you a couple of times, but other than that, I don't think it should take you much longer than that. Once you go through those doors, come down here, and then don't forget to pick up some ammo where the Nazi sort of symbol falls from the ceiling, and then come over to this double door and click on it, and then this will trigger another bit of a cutscene just through the doorway here. So I'm just going to let that play through. As you walk out, you are probably best using your slow motion by pressing up on your D-pad, and that will just start to lock onto all the enemies. And just as you move forward and you start to get a little bit overrun, it will trigger a cutscene anyway, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. As I mentioned, there's a bit of a cutscene here with all your teams sort of fighting in sync, just like so. And eventually, once the cutscene's finished, we will be on to the next sort of part. You're back to the main character, which is Arthur. Move forward, pick up any ammo on the right hand side there, and then head down this corridor on the right hand side. And this is where I struggled probably the most on the entire game, because you have to come up against two of those smoke guys. I'm going to show you where I went, and hopefully you can replicate what I did and get this done. So we're going to go sort of down towards the middle of the hangar and sort of start heading towards the further end. And as we come further down, you'll see this ammo box in the middle here, and then the smoke sort of start to appear. Grab the ammo, and then we're actually going to run back the way we came, and we're going to head back up the steps here on the left hand side and back into this corridor. Now, I found this to be the most easiest way. It just means you sort of take out the annoying part of trying to fight two enemies at once while your team aren't really doing anything, and these guys can shoot you through smoke and basically kill you from miles away. But every time you pop around the door, if you get a chance to target any of them by pressing up on your D-pad, please do so, because then your team will concentrate fire on them, and your team can, I believe, actually kill them on your behalf. However, what I do is I keep popping out just here, and the enemy has started to get very close, and as you can see, he's just up ahead here at the bottom of the steps along this catwalk. And I just keep popping backwards and forwards, and then whenever I get a chance to shoot him, if he comes near the stairs or he comes down to my left, I will try and hit him as much as possible. You can come out of there every now and again, but do be careful when you do. The sniper in the distance can hit you quite hard. Don't forget to press up on your D-pad to mark your team against him, and don't forget to keep an eye on the guy that's just below you. Again, you can throw grenades out and other bits and shoot him on the stairs and stuff, so just keep popping out and marking them both. Again, don't forget to mark the one in the distance as well, the sniper, that way your team can concentrate on him. But yeah, basically move back to this point and use this as your sort of standing point to attack these two guys from. They don't get too close, and you are able to keep marking them. You can push forward to the second pill if you like, just to have a quick look. If you do see him just below you, take some shots, but don't get too confident, because eventually he will probably kill you. He will start to come up the stairs here eventually if you do push forward, which gives you the opportunity to take quite a few shots at him. Again, keep marking the guy in the distance, and your team will continue to shoot him, and just keep popping in and out this doorway and shooting at the guy just at the bottom of the stairs, which is the guy that is closer. And eventually, as long as you keep following that target above his head and shooting in that general direction, you should be able to kill both. As you can see on my screen, I've managed to kill the guy at the bottom, and my team actually killed the sniper that was in the distance. Once they're both dead, we're going to run outside and finish the game. Okay, so once, as I mentioned, they're dead, we're going to run over here, open the door, and we're just going to run towards the Nazi guy himself. He will try and drive away, but we're just going to run towards where he went. So you can shoot them, but it's not necessary. Your team and the explosions literally kill everything in this area. Just keep running the same direction that he drove off. Bullets will fly past you and stuff. I've never died here, so I'm not sure if the enemy can actually hit you here or not. But just keep running and press the select button if you want to know where he is. But eventually you will get there. He's located just around this corner. Don't shoot him, because you will have to restart the checkpoint if you do. A little bit of an explosion happens, and then the cutscene with you sort of scrambling with him, and then all that's left is for you to decide to kill him or not kill him. And basically that is it. Basically, that is the end of the game. You will get your veteran achievement as long as you haven't changed your settings at any point. Hopefully you haven't done that. Also, if you watch the credits to the end, which take about 3 hours, not 3 hours literally, but a long time, you will actually get an additional achievement. Now guys, this video did take a lot of work and effort to get done for you, so please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. Comment, like and share, and we will see you in another video very soon. Thank you for stopping by. Take care guys, thank you.
Boss Fight Gaming. You lose. Game over.